And for anyone who is working on the front lines, whether you're in a supermarket or in a hospital or some kind of clinic, you're particularly welcome. And if anybody is going through having a tough day or having a difficult experience in these last few weeks, it's tricky for many of us, I think, but some people are having it harder than others. So you're particularly welcome, and I just want to acknowledge that that this is a place to come for some support if you're struggling in any way. Okay, so I'm about to ring the bell to begin the practice, and let's see how we get on. So you have the option of having your camera on, or you may wish to turn it off. For some people, having the camera off when they're practicing gives them a sense of safeness, and that option is always there for you. And as I'm sure you're familiar with, if you've been coming on to these sessions before, the different mindfulness facilitators usually start off by just letting you know that you always have choice and control over anything that happens during the practice. So if you need to stop at any time, if you need to ignore the instructions that I'm giving, if you need to make adjustments to the practice to make it feel manageable and comfortable for you, then please do that. So inviting you now, if it seems comfortable for you, to allow the eyes to close over. Or to perhaps focus on an object, so that the visual stimulus is reduced and you can move from being orientated towards the outside, relating to what's outside of yourself, to turning in, relating to what's within. So this practice of turning within is thousands of years old. There's nothing new about it, although it may have been repackaged as mindfulness in the current era, but people have been doing it in one form or another for thousands of years. And in our culture, we've tended to be overly dependent on things and, finding satisfaction in external stimuli like food or various kinds of activities, and paying out money for all kinds of things. And all of that, of course, can be life affirming and enjoyable. But we all have these inner resources. And those inner resources grow when we take the time to cultivate that kind of inner attention that can particularly sustain us in times of difficulty, as many of us are facing right now. So to ensure that we, as it were, have our mindfulness seatbelts on, wearing our seatbelts, we ground ourselves by really checking in with the support of the floor, supporting the feet if you're sitting on some kind of chair. And we register the support of the chair or the couch or the bed for the rest of the body, whether it's the buttocks or the back. Not so much thinking about these things, but just having a felt sense of contact and support. Allowing gravity to do its work in pressing the body into the chair or onto the bed. Being nourished by the weight of the body in contact with the world. And it's good to adjust the posture if necessary, so that the back is reasonably straight, reasonably tall. The back with the head and neck aligned to the straightness of the spine. Can promote a sense of alignment and balance in the mind. Noticing too those other contact points between hands and the body, upper and lower lips, and eyelids if you've chosen to close the eyes. And then opening the awareness to sounds. So we know that it is the ears that are the part of the body that are the receptors of sound. But then it gets processed by the mind. The mind places meaning on sound. Which can often lead to some kind of reaction like liking or not liking, or a sense of not caring one way or the other. But as best we can for now, Hearing the sounds in their nakedness. Almost as abstractions. Like different notes being played by an orchestra. Perhaps an orchestra that are just tuning up. So we have a wide variety of sounds or sound waves arriving at the ears, such as a clock ticking in the room, the sound of one's own breathing, the sound of my voice. So just staying present to sounds within the body or within the room that you find yourself in right now. And then, if you haven't already done so, extending the field of awareness to include sounds coming from outside whatever room or space you may be inhabiting right now. And as you listen to a variety of sounds, perhaps there's a passing car, there might even be a plane still in the sky somewhere. Children playing in the distance. Mechanical sounds. Really bringing a sense of curiosity to the different types of sounds. The continuous humming, perhaps, of a fridge or some other mechanical object. the low hum of lighting or some kind of fan. Or repetitive sounds. And having a sense of the pitch of sounds, sounds that may be on the high end of the scale, going all the way down to the lower registers. Noticing how certain sounds have a tendency to come and to go, to fade into awareness and gradually fade out. Noticing sounds within sounds. Becoming aware of the spaces between sounds. And through it all, the ribbon of the breath. And also noticing the sound of silence. And playfully using the imagination to consider the heart that speaks. If we could hear the speaking heart, what might be one word or encouragement it might want to say to us? Perhaps this is a word we'd like to keep close to us during the day, a word or phrase that could nourish us, that comes from that inner silence that we have been cultivating in these days. So, as we come close to the end of this meditation, I'd like to read a poem, which is a poem called Prayer by the English poet Carol Ann Duffy. And it's very much a poem about sounds and how sounds can nourish and be so much part of our lives. Prayer. Some days, although we cannot pray, a prayer utters itself. So a woman will lift her head from the sieve of her hands and stare at the minims sung by a tree, a sudden gift. Some nights, although we are faithless, the truth enters our hearts, that small, familiar pain. Then a man will stand stock still, hearing his youth in the distant Latin chanting of a train. Pray for us now. Grade 1 piano scales console the lodger looking out across a Midlands town. Then dusk, and someone calls a child's name as though they named their loss. Darkness outside. Inside, the radio's prayer. Rockall, Malin, Dogger, Finisterre. So just preparing yourself once again for the end of this practice by just connecting with feet on the floor, the sense of being present in the room, connection with the breath. As you open the eyes, if they've been closed,